Hello, everybody. Thank you so very much for clicking on. If you missed last night's live with Chris, we had True jump on there at the end, and I highly recommend you go back and watch that. I've had some questions, I've had some comments about that video, and thus this follow-up video that you are watching now. Earthquakes, the Eclipse, Edgar Cayce, and the X-Files. We touched on all three, earthquakes, the Eclipse, and Edgar Cayce last night. We're going to kind of clarify some things. What you're looking at on the screen right now is one of my pictures. I took this during the 2017 eclipse that went from the state of Washington, basically across the entire United States. And I was not in the area of totality. This is about to a total, a shot of the total eclipse. Clouds started coming in shortly after I snapped this particular picture. I was using two different cameras and going back and forth. But anyway, this is kind of a reminder. You'll notice the green hue in the picture, and that is because I was using a welder's mask replacement screen filter for the camera, which was tinted green. No matter where you're at in the United States, you will have some view of this eclipse. Only those in the areas of totality will see the actual total moon in front of the sun. Some areas will see more than what I'm showing here on the screen at the moment. Others will see significantly less, almost less of a crescent than what you're seeing here, depending on where you're at in the country, and of course depending on cloud cover as far as the eclipse goes. But by all means, do not look at it, no matter where you're at in the country. Don't look at it without the glasses. And of course, in the area of totality, I highly recommend putting a filter on your cameras, putting a filter on your phone's lenses, just to avoid any damage to those, and of course cover those eyes. I'm going to do a video showing you how to view the eclipse if you don't have glasses. If you don't have the glasses and you don't want to look at the sun, we've got a little thing to show. I'm going to show how to make a little thing out of any kind of box. You can use any box and make a really safe way to view this this event. All right. With all that being said, we're going to touch more on the eclipse coming up, but right now let's jump over to let's just jump over to earthquakes for a few moments here. All right, I'm going to start with what the Bible says about earthquakes, and actually earthquakes are mentioned quite a lot in the Bible. This particular list starts out with Luke chapter 21, verse 11. There will be great earthquakes in various places, famines and pestilences, and there will be terrors and great signs from heaven. This is Jesus talking about the signs of his return or of the end times. Revelation also talking about that. At that hour, there's a great earthquake, and a tenth of the city fell. Matthew 24:7, nation will rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. And it goes on and on and on. We're gonna pop down here just a little bit. There was an earthquake. I'm sorry. There was there was an eclipse, a darkening when Jesus was crucified, and there was also an earthquake, and the the curtains in the temples tore, and there was an earthquake the day of the resurrection when the stone was rolled away. Um, Acts 16:26. Suddenly there was a great earthquake, so the foundation of the prison was shaken. This is when the apostle Paul miraculously was unchained, and the cell doors were open, and he was able to escape. Um, Again, on the day of the resurrection, and behold, there was a great earthquake, for an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone and sat upon it. Um, let's jump down just a few more. Here we go. Revelation 6:12. When he opened the sixth seal, I looked, and behold, there was a great earthquake, and the sun became black as sackcloth. The full moon became like blood. A lot of people are pointing to this because the sun will indeed be black, but only in a very small area of the world, and that portion of the world happens to be the United States this time. Um, and the moon will look red because of the hues from the sun that are surrounding the moon. Let's see, where was the one I was looking for? Then the angel, this is Revelation 8:5. Then the angel took the censer and filled it with fire from the altar and threw it on the earth, and there were peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake. And there are, again, it goes on and on and on, but okay, here, and behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two. This was when Christ was crucified. He who removes mountains and they know it not, when he overturns them in his anger, who shakes the earth out of its place, and its pillars tremble. So, biblically stating, there are numerous mentions of earthquakes and signs preceding earthquakes. And I said last night that if the X that is marked on the United States by the paths of the 2017 eclipse and this 2024 eclipse coming April 8th, if it is a sign, then God will give that sign, and there will be a time period where you can take action from that warning sign. But some are saying that the eclipse will be the final eclipse coming across, making the X. That will mark the beginning of the end times, which, as we've seen in when Jesus taught, he said, if those that are wise will know the signs, and one of the signs of the beginning of the end times, according to Revelation, is a great earthquake, an earthquake unlike any that has ever been felt. So, what states have fault lines? If there is an earthquake, if that is what is marked, there are going to be earthquakes at some point. All right, taking the eclipse portion out of it. You're probably very aware of the fault lines in the California, in the West Coast area, the Cascadia Fault up in Washington. You've probably heard about these. There is, however, this area right through here. It goes from Oklahoma up through Indiana, and this is the New Madrid Fault, and this is where the Mississippi River and the Ohio River converge at the base of Illinois. Missouri and Kentucky. And then there are faults all along the East Coast. Um, People probably aren't aware of these. Now, I point these out. I point the faults out because last night I showed a map, um, Edgar Cayce map, and it's basically this map here that you're seeing on the screen now. And if we go back to the fault map, and then we go back to the Cayce map, you'll notice a lot of the areas where the faults are gone. They've been swallowed up by water. Basically, a combination of a great shaking and the rising seawater from the heating of the earth that is happening because our magnetic field is weakening and more of the sun's rays are coming upon the earth. The polar caps are gradually melting. And at some point, this is a possibility. This is what Edgar Cayce saw. He saw Florida rising. He saw Atlantis rising out of the Atlantic, and an unknown area rising off of the coast of Daytona Beach, Florida, as well as a great rift taking out a portion of Texas, almost the entirety of Louisiana, and Chicago, Illinois, and being a straight shot from the St. Lawrence Seaway to the Mississippi River to the Gulf Coast, California being nothing but islands. Again, we'll hop back over here one more time to the map that shows the various faults where we know for a fact there are faults and where geological activity could take place. Now, I had also a map last night, and I didn't have the best of quality. I hope this is a little better, and you'll be able to see this a little bit better than the one last night. This is known as the U.S. Navy map. This is not the exact same map that I had last night, but the reason for this map is because we have nuclear reactors providing nuclear power in areas around our country, and the task before those nuclear reactors were installed was make sure those reactors are installed in places that in the future are going to be stable places. So this map was created. It's again called the U.S. Navy Map of the Future, and it was created with the idea that the polar caps would melt, that that is it. Just that the polar caps would melt. That this is what is projected for 2025 if the polar ice caps were to melt. And this was done back when they were planning on the nuclear reactors. So the map was constructed back in like the 1970s. But this was the projected rise in water levels. And again, it is fairly close to the Cayce map. And I've got one more little thing to share with you. It's just a couple of minutes about Edgar Cayce and about this map. There we go. All right. So there's a little bit about Edgar Cayce. So don't and I didn't even end up sharing that. But you missed the map part of it, and I apologize for that. I don't want to start this all over, but you can just, if you Google, let's see, here we go. If you Google weird things on TikTok and Edgar Cayce, chances are this video will come up. If you just Google Edgar Cayce, you'll find all the information you'll need. So the map is, I've noticed the map is popping up more and more online. And that's kind of the history of it. That's a history of Edgar Cayce. He was a clairvoyant, is what he deemed himself, not a prophet. And again, this is what he saw. This guy said he saw it based on the poles shifting. And as you know, if you watch the channel, the poles, magnetic poles are indeed shifting. Hopefully the geographic poles do not shift. That would make a total disaster of the world.